King Square has been a very important space for Fremantle ever since it was created. There has been some improvements made to try and make it more pedestrian and reduce the impact of vehicles, but this is our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work with the private sector to not only upgrade the buildings, our own public buildings, but also the public square. One of the key ingredients to the whole King Square project is getting the private sector to do redevelopment of the Myers building and the old Queensgate Centre. Sarona Capital are doing that, and it's fair to say they're only doing that project in the partnership and understanding that the city improves its own building and public realm. There were many reasons why we needed to replace the building. There was asbestos throughout the building, there was concrete cancer, the building didn't comply with its disability requirements. It had been added to over many years with lots of different extensions. It was clearly time to replace the building. The centre of Fremantle has had some minor improvements over the years, but this is a game changer. This is the point in time where we can not only just bring in 1,500 new workers and build a new civic building for public use, but to get people to come into the city centre and to stay, to be part of public life, to be part of the King Square space and everything that will offer. The new building has been designed by Kerry Hill Architects. They're a very well known, internationally renowned Australian firm. So we're quite excited about being able to have a Kerry Hill building in the centre of Fremantle. Probably the best well-known Kerry Hill building in Perth would be the State Theatre and also the City of Perth Library on Hay Street. I think Kerry Hill do beautiful architecture which is timeless. They have a great use of material. They're very light, they use light really well. And they have a civic quality which I think we really need for the new civic building in Fremantle. You want a piece of architecture that's going to last a long time and not date. That's something that Kerry Hill brings, that there's quality that is timeless. The site is a very significant site next to the Old Town Hall, which in itself is a challenge for a new piece of architecture. What Kerry Hill has done is to design a contemporary building that complements the Old Town Hall rather than try and mimic like a fake heritage style. It's a very simple building in many ways. I think it's very calm, it's very open, there'll be a lot of light coming through the building and a very careful use of materials. One of the key elements that you'll see on the outside of the building is this fine metal mesh that goes all the way around the building. Part of the function of this mesh is to, of course, provide shading so that we don't get too much solar gain inside the building, but it's also an architectural treatment of the fenestration. So as you walk around the building, depending on what angle you're looking at the building at or where the light's coming from, it will go from looking like a solid part of the building to something that's very transparent and open. So it's something quite dynamic that I think we'll experience as you walk around the building. We're aiming to achieve a carbon neutral building. Part of achieving this will be putting a lot of photovoltaic cells on the building roof, basically covering the whole roof as much as we can. The other part of the building is having a solar passive design to the architecture, which Kerry Hill have done. But probably one of the biggest elements to achieving carbon neutrality will be opening the windows and turning the air conditioning off. And this will all be automated. It will be, I think, a first for Fremantle. One of the key features of the building is a sloping lawn that goes from King Square up to Council Chamber onto first floor, and that sits above the library. People refer to it as an urban room. I guess that's because it's a public space. It has a roof over the top that makes it a room, but we see it very much as an integrated part of the whole design, which is about bringing people from the square into the building and to connect up to the activities of council, in particular Council Chamber. In total there's 5 levels to the building, from basement through to level 3. The basement is going to be the library. The library is going to be a state-of-the-art facility. We're referring to it more as a community hub. There will be books in the library, of course, but there'll be a lot more than just the books. The basement will be anything but dark and dingy. We've got a lot of natural light that will flow into that space from 2 courtyard areas either side of the library, which not only provide natural light to that space but would be beautiful spaces in themselves. The library has a large sloping ceiling, and of course on the other side of that ceiling is the sloping grass ramp of the urban room. Well, moving up from the basement is the ground floor, which is arguably the most important floor because it's so connected to public spaces outside of the building. And it is the main area where people will come in, get their orientation as to where they're going, whether it's down to the library or up to the offices. When you enter the building from King Square, you enter into an exhibition area or a foyer space, which will have temporary exhibitions. It's also a very useful space that's connected to the Old Town Hall, which will allow activities from the Town Hall to expand into our new building. When you leave the foyer, you'll walk into the customer service area. This would be a dramatic improvement on the customer service area that we had in our old building. The way that we would do customer service would be more with a roaming customer service officer who will come and greet you to the building and ask what they can do to help you with your inquiry. It won't be an old-fashioned desk, it would be a very open, modern type of experience. Beyond the modern customer service area, you start moving into the community hub, and that includes things like the over 55s. On the ground floor there will also be opportunities for commercial leases. These will be around the perimeter of the building and will help to bring activity to the street. One of the key sites will be on the point of the triangle where there's a great opportunity for a new cafe to be right in the heart of the King Square project. When we move up to the first floor, we come across one of the key features of the building, which is the oval-shaped council chamber. The council chamber will be a very open space that's connected to the veranda and also the sloping lawn outside, providing a lot of transparency and connection to the outside spaces beyond the chamber itself. That oval shape of the council chamber is reflected on every floor of the building, right from the bottom of the basement to the top of the roof, creating an architectural element that you'll see both from within the building and also from the outside. Also on first floor will be offices for City of Fremantle, as well as an area that can be leased for commercial offices. When we move up to the second floor, it's the same mix of city and commercial offices, and then when we go to the third floor, it's entirely commercial office space. One of the reasons for having commercial office space, besides having a potential income, it does give the city future flexibility for its own needs should it need to expand in terms of its office space requirements. So this building really is a civic centre. It will be an amazing community asset. When you look at how the floor space is allocated, you find that only about a third of it will be used by the City of Fremantle itself. The building is very integrated with its surroundings. Part of this can be seen with the laneway that's going to go through the middle of our new building, connecting King Square to the FOMO development that Sirona's doing, its Emporium retail development, and also you can then continue through the laneway between the old Myers building and the Queensgate building through to the Queensgate car park. This new building is going to bring world-class architecture into the heart of Fremantle, as well as vastly improved community services. The commercial aspect of this project is going to bring thousands of people back into the heart of Fremantle, and the rejuvenation of all the public spaces around King Square will make it a beautiful, welcoming city centre.